Ladies and gentlemen, wow. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin, man. There is a lot we could talk about at first, but the one thing I guess I could say is this show tonight, this Double or Nothing pay per view, was a love letter to professional wrestling from AEW, showing how much this company loves professional wrestling. The first thing I will say is shout out to the people in NYC tonight. Shout out to every fan in the Louis Armstrong Arena tonight, because that was the most electric crowd of the entire year. And I would say that was probably the most electric crowd since the first All In. Fuck, that crowd was probably one of the best AEW crowds ever. And I know that AEW is doing All In back at Wembley this year. They're going to Wembley for a third time in 4 years. I think after this year, Wembley needs a break because you run the same event at the same venue, you're going to get fans burnt out. Just look at what happened with WrestleMania in Las Vegas this year. AEW needs to take this All In show on the road. And I've seen a lot of people talking online. Hey, what about All in Madison Square Garden in the future? Madison Square Garden is going to be loyal to WWE. I don't think Madison Square Garden would ever host an AEW show ever. That's just my opinion. I could very much be wrong. What I will say though is 2027 All In New York inside of Yankee Stadium. That sounds awesome. That sounds fucking awesome. And those people tonight that were there in the crowd, they deserve an All In. They absolutely deserve an All In pay-per-view. They brought it. We see these very long AEW pay-per-views, and there's certain points where the crowd just gets burned out and they get exhausted. They get very tired because of how long the show is. This show, the crowd never got tired once. And I think a great reasoning of that is because of the pacing of this show. The pacing was beautiful. It felt so refreshing, right? It felt so refreshing to not watch a PLE or a pay per view, whatever you want to call it, and not have to sit through 5 minutes of commercial breaks and another 5 minutes of advertisements and have to wait 15 minutes before the next match. I'm not taking a dig at WWE at all. I love WWE. It sucks right now. The product is not good, but literally AEW is just so consistent when it comes to these pay-per-views. Do you want to know why? Almost after shows like this, you get people that say, "Oh my gosh, this was one of the best pay-per-views of the year, one of the best AEW shows of all time," because AEW has conditioned fans that their pay-per-views are going to be phenomenal no matter what. And if you order the pay-per-view for $50, it is going to be worth every penny. And you know what? It is. It is worth $50 to watch a show like this. I saw shit tonight that I've never seen before in a wrestling ring. There was all good. All the matches were good. You can fucking pick your poison for what your favorite match was tonight. Mine was probably the Stadium Stampede match. But there's so many to pick from. The I Quit, Takeshita and Okada, the main event, the Swerve match, the Stadium Stampede, the Ospreay Samoa Joe match. There's so many to pick from. You could pick a match and make a good case for it. So, and the last thing I will say before we get the show underway is you can call me a fucking mark. You can call me an apologist. You can call me an AEW apologist. You can call me a shill. You can call me whatever you want. Oh my god, he hates WWE. I don't, but if that makes you feel better, go ahead. At the end of the day, when I open up my show and I say we speak the truth and we're honest and we give our takes on professional wrestling, when I say we speak the truth and we're honest, we literally speak the truth all the time here on the Big Fight Fuel channel. And the truth is that in 2026, it's not even comparable. It's not even fair that AEW is the best professional wrestling company in the world. That's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. That's a fact. And if you ain't believing it, I don't know what more I gotta tell you. But this is your official AEW Double or Nothing review. It is 12:40 Monday morning of Memorial Day. I don't have to go into work tomorrow, which feels beautiful, or today technically, which feels beautiful because it doesn't make me care about how long the show is. And it's an awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling for sure. Um, we had so much this week, so much content. Go ahead and check it out. You missed last night's Saturday night review, a Saturday night main event review. Um, it'll literally be up in the last 20 seconds of this podcast. All you gotta do when it shows up is you click on it, and it'll take you right to the podcast. But of course, don't do that until you've watched the entirety of the Double or Nothing review. And as far as this week is concerned, we will be back here for Monday Night Raw later tonight. All right, we'll be reviewing Monday Night Raw Memorial Day edition. Wednesday, I will be live and in the flesh at the Liacouras Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for AEW Dynamite and Collision, a 3-hour taping. I will be live and in the flesh doing a vlog. It is about time that I go back to an AEW show. I am due. It's my second wrestling show of the year, and it's my first AEW show of the year as well. So I'm very, very excited for Wednesday night. And then Friday night, we will do SmackDown. And on top of that, we will give our Clash in Italy predictions. Because, yes, we have another pay-per-view this upcoming weekend. We have another pay-per-view this week. We have Clash in Italy on Sunday. And then after that Clash in Italy show, we will do a review at some point on Sunday night. So that is everything that is coming up this week right here on the Big Five Field channel. So be sure to go ahead. Make sure you are subscribed because you're not going to want to miss a second. All right. This is going to be a long show. So if you need to, you get yourself something to drink, go to the bathroom, whatever you got to do, because I'm going to be a long time. And it's just based off how the show is. It's a long show. So what I will talk about, I usually don't talk about the pre-show on these reviews for AEW pay-per-views, but I will talk about one thing that happened on the pre-show, and I thought it was a great move by AEW. So they have the kickoff panel in the middle of the ring. Renee Paquette is standing out there with Mick Foley, which, by the way, Mick Foley got the All Elite graphic. Good for him. That is awesome. I'm happy to see Mick Foley doing well and making his presence felt in AEW. Foley made his AEW debut tonight, and him and Renee were talking about the World Championship match. And as Foley made his pick, which he picked Darby Allin to win the World Championship, and that MJF would be getting his head shaved, MJF came out and he interrupted Mick Foley. And he came out to a chorus of boos. And he said, figures you would pick Darby Allin, because throughout your career, you and Darby Allin are something very similar to each other. You guys are both losers. When it comes to the big matches, on pay-per-view and the titles on the line, what did you do best, Mick? You lost. Every big match, Mick Foley lost. And Mick is like, sure, I've lost a lot of big matches in my career, but I want you to think about this for a second, Max. Have I ever lost a match in 2 minutes and 15 seconds? That's not an embarrassment. That's not just a loss. That's a disgrace. That's an embarrassment. So MJF was embarrassed by that comment, and he low blowed Mick Foley in the middle of the ring, brung out Darby Allin. MJF ran away. Foley told Darby Allin not to leave, um, giving him this big, hyped up, motivational promo. And at the end, he's like, "You remind me just of me, a younger version of me, a more athletic version of me. And tonight, I want you to take that razor and I want you to shave Darby Allin's head," and held up the AEW World Championship as high as you possibly could. Bang, bang, Darby Allin. Bang, bang. So I thought this was great. And this was such a great decision to have this on the pre-show so that you could get people that are just watching the pre-show to buy the pay-per-view to see what happens in the main event of this show. And I do think that AEW did gain a lot of new viewers tonight. I am really curious. I'm really curious to see the viewership number for the pay-per-view tonight. So now we get into the actual show. We get into the actual pay-per-view itself. And we start off with the tag team titles and an I Quit match. Cope and Christian coming out to big pops. They went up against FTR. And earlier in the match, the first piece of object they grab is a piece of barbed wire. Christian, he wraps it around the middle rope. Dax is laying on the barbed wire, and Christian does his signature standing on top of his back. So the barbed wire is pressing up against Dax Harwood's chest. Paul Turner is asking these guys the entire match, "Do you quit? Do you quit, Dax? Do you quit, Christian?" And Dax says no, and he gives him a crossbody to Dax Harwood. A ladder is set up on the outside, and Copeland gives Dax Harwood a suplex. They have a toolbox in the ring. And Christian Cage has tweezers, and he takes the tweezers and he squeezes it on Dax Harwood's nose. Dax doesn't quit. Cash then comes in the ring, and he takes the tweezers and he squeezes it onto Cash Wheeler's balls. So now these guys are on the outside, and Cope is about to pile drive Dax Harwood onto the announce table, but Dax Harwood reverses it, and Dax hits the pile driver onto the Spanish announce table, onto Adam Copeland. Then they go after Cage, and they put his wrist that he's been selling for 6 weeks into a cinder block. And Dax continuously hits him with the steel chair while his wrist is in the cinder block. And the referee asks Christian, "Do you quit?" And Christian says, "I banged your mother." So this broke out into a, "Oh, he banged your mother. Oh, he banged your mother." Of course. Of course this crowd would be chanting that. So that got a huge pop. And now we're in the ring. and Cope has a chair, but Stokely takes his watch, punches Copeland in the face. We get a shatter machine, and we get massive boos by the New York crowd. And as Stokely is prancing around with this watch, he makes the best shocked looking face maybe he's ever done. Because who comes out next but Beth Phoenix? And that's what Excalibur called her, Beth Copeland. So Beth Copeland came out, and she is beating the shit out of Stokely. And Dax Harwood pushes her, and she literally runs face first right into those steel steps. I'm like, oh my gosh. Someone fucking go check on her. Make sure she's not bleeding. So she's knocked out cold. And this was the spot of the match. Dax takes liquid, spreads it around the table, takes a lighter, lights the table on fire. So they're going to spear Beth Copeland through this flaming table. And Stokely is holding her. Cash is going to do the spear. But as Cash is running, Beth Copeland pulls Stokely into the way. And shout out to Stokely, man. Stokely takes a spear from Cash Wheeler through a flaming table. His ass was lit up on fire. His selling was tremendous. This was awesome. This made me laugh out loud. This was probably the spot of the match. And then in the ring, Dax is going to do the concerto. Beth hits a low blow. Christian Cage hits a low blow. And Adam Copeland, he hits a pile driver just like Dax Harwood did to him. Christian Cage then has the sharpshooter in. Cope has the crossface. But it's not enough. Beth goes underneath the steps. And what happens to be sitting there but Spike, Cope's baseball bat. And he takes the nails and he presses it onto Dax Harwood's head. And Dax screams out, I quit. I quit. So the match is over. Cope and Christian are the new tag team champions. Such an incredible match, man. Such an incredible match. And this was the right result. I know this was very predictable. And I don't know if this is going to be the end, because I feel like the end game should be a three-way involving these two teams and the Young Bucks in a TLC match at All In. That's how I think this whole thing should end. But I don't know where they're going to go from here. But I am very happy that for the first time in 25 years, Cope and Christian are tag team champions. That's awesome. That is absolutely incredible. And, you know, this is it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably going to be the last time that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are tag team champions in a professional wrestling ring. So you know what I'm going to say? Fucking enjoy it. Because I don't know how much longer we are going to have these guys for. And it's going to be very upsetting when it is over. So, Copeland and Christian Cage are the new tag team champions. And I couldn't be any more excited for them. And we go from that banger to another banger. we go to Takeshita versus Okada for the AEW International Championship. This match, literally 8 months in the making. 8 months in the making, this match was. Takeshita, he's got all the momentum. Diving tope on the outside to Okada. They're in the ring. This match was so epic. They had so many unbelievable back and forths in this match. The match at World's End was great. You can't even compare that match to this, though. This match was on another level. I told you guys this would be a match of the year candidate. I don't know if it's match of the night. Honestly, there's too much to pick from. For match of the night, there's too much to pick them. All of these were awesome. All of these were fucking bangers. Oh, man. So, let me tell you this sequence, okay? We have a tombstone from Okada into a German suplex from the ground up. Okada stands right up, hits a drop kick on the Takeshita. Takeshita goes for a clothesline. Okada hits his own lariat. The crowd loses its mind. They're on the outside. And Okada, he hits a Rainmaker onto the apron. So Takeshita goes to the outside. And he is looking for something on the outside. A brain buster or whatever. Don Callis tells him to not do it. So Takeshita releases it. Okada releases it. Moments later, Takeshita does the same thing, and he doesn't listen to Don Callis. He just does it. He just gives him this brain buster onto the outside, and Callis is losing his mind. And we get them in the ring. They go forearm for forearm. Rainmaker counters. Raging. We get big knee strikes from Takeshita. A raging fire to end it all off. And for the second time in his AEW career, Takeshita is the AEW International Champion. Finally! They've paid it off. We got a payoff. We got months of them pushing and arguing and calling each other bitch. We got back and forths for 8 months. And we were all wondering, when are they going to do it? When's the match? When are they going to do Takeshita and Okada on pay-per-view? We got it tonight. 8 months in the making. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it was worth the wait. So, now, we get a big angle coming out of this match. The family comes out. It's only Callis, Mark Davis, and Rocky. But a couple members of the Callis family come out. And they want Takeshita to join them. But Takeshita's not doing it. Takeshita left the family on his own. And Kyle Fletcher comes out. Yes, the same Kyle Fletcher that tore his meniscus and we didn't think would make it back for Wembley Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to be there at All In this year. No doubt. Fletcher comes out to a huge pop. He's debating whether or not he goes in the face of Takeshita. He stares in the face of Okada. And he backs up to be with Takeshita. Grabs the International Championship. Hands it over to Takeshita. Takeshita has a big smile on his face. And this son of a bitch, Kyle Fletcher, clotheslines Takeshita and proves his loyalty to Okada and Don Callis. And he hits him with a brain buster. He waffles him over the head with the International Championship. And there was a point where Okada and Fletcher were playing tug of war with the International Championship. And that was that. They got booed the fuck out of the building. Fuck you, Kyle chants in the Louis Armstrong Stadium. And Takeshita has left the family. And Kyle Fletcher has turned his back on Konosuke Takeshita. So, we accomplished 3 things here. Number 1, we got a match of the year candidate with Takeshita and Okada. That was the easy part. Was them two going out there and having an absolute banger of a match. That was the easy part. Number 2, Takeshita finally leaving the family. Okay. And then number 3 was Kyle Fletcher turning on Takeshita. And now we're either getting one of 2 options. We're either getting Takeshita versus Kyle Fletcher at All In, or we're getting a 3-way with Okada, Fletcher, and Takeshita. One of those matches will be your international title match at All In. I'm not complaining. I will not complain about that at all. That, oh man, you put those 2 guys in the ring again. But this time we're adding Kyle Fletcher to that match. Tony Khan would be fucking cooking, bro. Cooking. We'll see what happens. But one of those 2, that is going to happen. Mina Shirakawa and Athena was next. These 2 ladies were put in a really tough spot. They were put in a tough spot. Coming off that I Quit match and the Takeshita Okada match, followed by a huge angle. But you know what? Towards the end, they got the crowd into this match. They got the crowd into it. I thought they had a good... I thought the match was good. I thought the match was good at the end of the day. Athena picked up the win with the O-face. And Athena's going to the second round. I don't know if she's going to win the thing. But Athena should win. Athena should be in the finals. And for Christ's sakes, I was living in Florida when Athena was the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Why is she still carrying that title around? Why has someone not beat her yet? She should be a regular on Dynamite every single week in some capacity. She should be on AEW television every week. Not this Ring of Honor stuff that she's on still. but I don't know who is the wild card going up against Alex Windsor. I would have to guess we will find out Wednesday. But I think Athena's going to the finals this year. I don't think she's going to win it, but I think she's definitely going to the finals of the Owen. We had Jon Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly for the Continental Championship. This was the one match that good old JR, Jim Ross, was on commentary for tonight. He decided to hop on the headset for for Kyle O'Reilly versus Jon Moxley. And, it's hard. But if I had to go with one match that I would say I disliked on the show, it was probably this match. And it wasn't even a bad match. It was all right. It was so hard for me to get into because number one, I'm not a fan of this Jon Moxley Continental title reign. I'm just not a fan. I'm over it. It's boring. And it's literally the same stuff. These eliminator matches. And I say that, and then they're going to announce a Jon Moxley match, and I'm going to get excited. It just depends who he's wrestling. But I digress. I would have been a little bit more excited for this match if we didn't just see the same exact match on Wednesday. And I think that's what did me in, man. Is that we saw the same match 4 nights ago. And if I'm being honest with you, they didn't top that match. Their match, where I enjoyed the match on Wednesday more than I did the match tonight. And we all knew going into this that Jon Moxley was not going to lose. And what happened? Jon Moxley tapped out Kyle O'Reilly. So, Jon Moxley retained the Continental Championship. And I would have to say, if there was one weak match on the show, that was probably it. So, now the Death Riders, they get to watch their new buddy, Will Ospreay, compete in the first round. And this was an electric start. Samoa Joe is making his entrance. And Joe is facing the camera. And while that happens, Will Ospreay goes up to the ropes and he hits an Os Cutter on to Samoa Joe in the ring. So, bell hasn't even rang yet. Ospreay hits the Os Cutter to Samoa Joe. And they're brawling. Ospreay has the advantage. And Ospreay goes to hit the Salkasei special, and Samoa Joe just has the Coquina clutch on him. Ospreay backs up, tries to get Joe to release it, and then Joe just fucking ragdolls Will Ospreay into the barricade. This was a great match, by the way. Definitely Will Ospreay's best match. In his return so far to AEW post neck surgery. This was his best match. It probably won't be for long, but I thought this match was great. And we got the vintage Samoa Joe spot where someone does a top rope move and he just walks away. And we got that when Will Ospreay went for the Os Cutter. Samoa Joe casually walks away, hits a Seton bomb, and Will Ospreay kicks out at 2. Um, Joe elbow strikes back and forth to Ospreay, a slap in the face a bunch of times. Um, and then later in the match, Joe goes for the clothesline. Ospreay does the flip over, and Ospreay was able to hit Styles Clash on Samoa Joe for a count of 2, and they mentioned him, but they didn't mention him at the same time. And Excalibur goes, I bet Samoa Joe is getting flashbacks from that move back in the day. He didn't say his name, but that is a reference to AJ Styles for sure. He is absolutely referencing AJ Styles there. And he then goes for the hidden blade, and he gets caught into a coquina clutch, and he's got it fully cinched in, and they do the deal where the referee goes 1, 2, and he's right next to the rope, and he grabs onto the rope, and then Joe goes for the muscle buster. Ospreay escapes out of it. Hidden blade. Joe kicks out at 1. Another hidden blade to the back of the head. And that's all she wrote. You know, Samoa Joe. Ospreay won the match. But Samoa Joe is one of the most underrated wrestlers I've watched in my entire life. I don't think people appreciate Samoa Joe the way they should. He is fantastic at what he does. And I'm happy that Ospreay was able to get his dream match against him, because when he signed to AEW, I don't know who the interview was with, but he had a list of dream matches that he wanted to do in AEW, and one of those matches was against Samoa Joe. And he was able to do that tonight. And they went out there and they put on a great fucking performance, man. That match was great. And Will Ospreay is moving on to the second round of the Owen. And I mentioned it Thursday night in the predictions video. The main story now going into the summer should be the rise of Will Ospreay. The ascension of Will Ospreay needs to be the main story for AEW going into the summer. Because he's not losing the tournament this year. He's not. And after tonight, it's very clear what the main event in Wembley Stadium is going to be. So we go from the left side of the bracket to the right side of the bracket in the first round. Swerve Strickland versus Bandito. And oh my gosh, man. I truly had no fucking words after this match. I had no words. I have watched wrestling my entire life, and I watched this match and I saw stuff that I've never seen before. It was amazing. So I would say, excuse me, I'm trying to catch my breath here. And you guys might think differently, and that's fine. Um, Out of all the Owen Hart matches, I thought this was the best match of the night. For the Owen Hart matches, this was my favorite match of the night. Bandito was Swerve was great. Bandito was unbelievable. Um, Penta is on a hell of a run right now as the Intercontinental Champion, and I do not want to take that away from him. He is amazing. But this run that Bandito has been on since last year, he is still going at it this year. He is the best luchador in the world. Right now, in my opinion, Bandito is the best luchador in the world today. He is it's special to watch, man. It is special to watch Bandito wrestle. Um so both guys are on the outside and Bandito flattens him with a senton flip. And then Swerve took control of the match where he gave Bandito a German directly into the turnbuckle with like his like upper back smacking into the top turnbuckle. So Swerve he took control of the match for a very long time. Bandito then got back into it with a couple forearms and a couple side kicks. Swerve then went for rope to the turnbuckle, and Bandito hung him up. Super kick to the face into a German. Swerve kicked out at 2. And then, like, when I was saying, like, I've seen stuff that I've never seen stuff that I saw from this match, this was one of them. Bandito Irish whips Swerve into the ropes. Swerve jumps on to Bandito's shoulders and he gives him a house call standing on top of Bandito's shoulders. You will probably never see that again. You will probably never see a house call like that ever again. So a house call standing on top of Bandito's shoulders, and then a swerve stomp, and Bandito kicks out at 2. Then they're on the outside. They're on the ring apron. Swerve's going to do like a Death Valley driver or whatever. Bandito jumps onto Swerve's back in a sitting position, and he hits a Poison Rana on the outside. Not the inside of the ring, the outside of the ring to Swerve Strickland. Ouch, motherfucker. That hurt me watching that. And then in the ring, Bandito is Swerve's laying down, stomach first, and Bandito hits a 21 plex, but he releases the cover because he is selling his neck throughout the match. So it affected him covering the 21 plex. And then I don't even know what you would call this move. Bandito's on Swerve's back. He slacks his hands down, jumps onto Swerve's shoulders, gives him like a rolling senton. Bro, that was fucking incredible. The creativity between these two guys. I want to see them run this match back again some point this year. I need to see Swerve versus Bandito again this year because the spots that they were coming up with in this match, oh my fucking god. Then again, Swerve's on the rope. A Bandito goes for 21 plex. Swerve catches him into the vertebreaker. He hits a vertebreaker. He hits house call. And oh my gosh, that's the end of the match. The spots that these guys were coming up with throughout the match were so fucking creative, and it was so fun to watch. Man, you've got to go check it out for yourself. You've got to go check this match out. Um, and I'll say, I said it to my dad, who I was watching the show with tonight. I'm like, at that point, that was my favorite match. But we had 3 more matches to go. But at that point in the night, Swerve versus Bandito, that was the best match of the entire night so far. So we have 3 matches left, and we get a fatal 4-way for the women's championship. Tekla defending against Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Hikaru Shida. And the story of this match is the friendship of Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. They tried not to do anything physical with each other, and then Shida accidentally gives her a big boot, and Statlander confronts her about it. Like, what the fuck was that about? Kind of thing. So Shida, she looks scared. She's like, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Like, she backs away, and then she smacks the shit out of Chris Statlander, and they are brawling. And Statlander, she hits she hits Sunday Night Fever on to Tekla. She's about to win the title, and Hikaru Shida just hits her in the back with the kendo stick. And Jamie Hayter looks stupid at the end because she took the kendo stick away from Shida. That's the only thing I didn't like about that match, was the ending made Jamie Hayter look stupid. And Tekla just saw a laid out Chris Statlander in the middle of the ring, hits the curb stomp, and in her home state of New York, Chris Statlander gets pinned. I mean, you probably could have pinned Jamie Hayter in this match and been better off with it, with Statlander and Shida just taking each other out. But it feels like coming out of this that we're building to Statlander versus Shida, and whoever the wild card is probably going to win this Owen Hart tournament. And if I had to guess, the women's title match at All In is going to be Tekla defending against Mercedes Moné. So that's my guess as to what the AEW Women's Championship match at All In is going to be. All right, guys. It's time. It is fucking time to talk about Stadium Stampede. Stadium Stampede, baby. If this match does not get 5 stars, I will be very upset. So, first of all, these were the best 2 entrances of the night. The heels, and it's all video packages, but the heels all enter in pickup trucks. The Demand coming in together, the Callis family coming in a limo, Mark Davis and Andrade with Don Callis. The Ricochet and the Demand, they enter in their pickup truck. So do the Dogs. So they all just go in pickup trucks. The Demand are in baseball uniforms and they're wearing baseball jerseys. And then the babyface team, they all come out in suits. Jericho wearing a glittering suit. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin coming out in white dress shirts and black pants. You have the Young Bucks. They're wearing a suit. Jack Perry's wearing his own suit. He's wearing a white button up with a vest over top. And then you got Kenny Omega, who's in a suit and he's smoking a cigar. And yeah, this was fun. This was cool. And for those complaining, I will say, for those complaining about no blood or no brawling in the crowd during this match, according to Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer, they didn't get a pass on blood or brawling in the crowd. According to the state of New York, they weren't allowed to bleed during this match, and they weren't allowed to brawl in the crowd during this match. So everything in this match was backstage or in the ring. Wow, okay. Um there is so much shit that I got to talk about with this match. This is going to be long. So 14 guys in one ring, they all start brawling. They're all ringside. There's already tables laying out. They have a four-way split camera of all the action that's going on. Jack Perry on the top turnbuckle being held up by Toa Leona, while he's also holding both Young Bucks, and he does a triple Samoan drop. He's awesome in these type of matches, by the way. Toa Leona, when it comes to Mile High Madness, he's amazing. So he's doing a backstretch to Kenny Omega, and all the heels are holding hands to like stretch it out as far as possible. And MVP gets on the ring apron, takes his cane, and hits Ricochet's hand, and they all fall like dominoes. I thought that was funny as hell, man. That was funny. Shelton Benjamin doing a dive over the top rope, and then Chris Jericho does a frog splash onto everybody on the outside. Jack Perry takes a vacuum cleaner and he throws it right at Mark Davis because, and that's what Jack Perry did this entire match. All he cared about was beating the fuck out of Mark Davis the entire match. So now, if I'm going to be honest with you, the catering was really funny, but this was the funniest part of the whole match. So, Toa Leona and Bobby Lashley, they're brawling backstage, and Leona is laying in headbutts, and Lashley is just laying there. And who comes up but this fucking weirdo Lio Rush in his crazy gimmick? He's going, "It's fine. It's fine. It's fine." While there's black goo falling out of his mouth. And Bob is like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Um, so they reunited Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush in this match. And Leona sees Leo Rush. And he like grabs him by the neck. Leo Rush bites his hand. He crawls onto Toa Leona's back. And that's all we get. I was howling. Fucking howling at the appearance of Leo Rush in this match. Blackheart Leo Rush. I didn't know what to think of the gimmick at first. I fucking love it now. It's funny. It's a funny gimmick, man. And he fucking lives by that gimmick too. And then they're doing the split screens. Andrade is taking pictures with girls. And someone grabs him. And it's Luchasaurus wearing a wig. So that was funny as well. And he spits like some sort of mist into Andrade's face. The spit of mist. And then Jericho, he's wrestling with Ricochet in the ring. And he's got a bag of tennis balls. And the crowd, of course, because it's New York, they would chant anything. They start chanting for balls. And I'm like, okay. Jericho then gave a suplex to Ricochet on top of tennis balls. And Ricochet would repay the same thing with a suplex on top of tennis balls. So now we go from that to we go from the two Don Callis guys brawling and catering with Kenny Omega and Jack Perry. And Jack Perry did like the leg trap thing to Mark Davis onto a chair. And Davis was really holding his eye. And I hope he's okay coming out of it because he was bandaged up around the eye throughout the rest of the match too. So I hope he's okay because he's in the Owen Hart tournament. And like literally Mark Davis versus Will Ospreay is a shoo-in for the second round. So Kenny throws Andrade into someone at catering. He gets face planted by a piece of cake. And it's Satnam Singh. So this tall fucker is standing over top of Andrade. Andrade has green mist all over his face. And Satnam Singh has cake on his face. And he grabs a chef. And Satnam Singh, he just screams out food fight. So everybody is having a food fight in catering. And we get Tommy Invincible too. Tommy Invincible was in catering. He pushes Mark Davis. And Mark Davis takes this clown and he gives him a forearm right to the face. On the stage, Matt Jackson has Clark Connors over a trash can and in a shopping cart, and he gets hit in the face with a super kick. Then, I don't know where Jericho and Ricochet are, but they're in like some tennis practice area where there's a bunch of tennis balls and a tennis racket. And Ricochet is hitting Jericho with the racket. And Jericho pushes Ricochet off. He opens up this gray door, and Luther is standing there with a giant size tennis racket, and he hits Ricochet with this tennis racket multiple times, and Ricochet is standing there, and Jericho, he just starts chugging tennis balls at Ricochet. Back in the ring, we have... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay. This was preposterous. Mark Davis has this band. This was the most absurd thing throughout the entire match. Mark Davis has a bandage wrapped around his face, and he's by a golf cart. And I don't know, I can't remember what the note says, but Jack Perry comes driving up in his bus, and he supposedly kills Mark Davis live on pay-per-view with the bus. He kills Mark Davis, and then 10 minutes later, oh my gosh, Mark Davis is alive. That was preposterous. I'm like, okay, dude, what the fuck is going on here? This match is just bonkers. And then everybody's going through tables. Shelton suplexes Toa Liona through a table. Bobby Lashley suplexing Mark Davis. He's alive. He's got a bandage wrapped around his head. He picks him up, suplexes him over his head. All the heels are going through tables. Kenny Omega hits a one-winged angel onto Andrade through a table. And at the end, Ricochet's in there. And he gets hit with all the big moves. He gets hit with a knee strike from Shelton Benjamin, a spear from Bobby Lashley, a flying knee from Jack Perry, a BTE trigger from the Bucks, and then they save Jericho for last. And Bishop Kong, he pushes Ricochet away, sacrificing himself for Ricochet. And Kenny Omega hits Bishop Kong with a V-trigger. And then all these guys, they hit super kicks. Fucking Bobby Lashley. I couldn't believe it. Bobby Lashley hit a super kick in 2026, and Chris Jericho pins Bishop Kong. I couldn't believe it, dude. Bobby Lashley with a super kick in 2026. The baby faces win. This was the most fun match of the entire year. And then Jericho puts himself through a table to pay tribute to Sabu. If you did not like this match, you do not like fun in professional wrestling. These guys looked like, my God, they were having the time of their fucking life. And yeah, there were some restrictions. They couldn't brawl in the crowd. They couldn't bleed. There was definitely restrictions on this show. You know what, man? Don't fucking matter. This was still the match of the night. One of my favorite matches of the entire year. We are going to be talking about this forever. And nobody does arena matches like this better than AEW does. Nobody could even try. And then the main event for the AEW World Championship, title versus hair, MJF versus Darby Allin. And with everything leading up to it, they really had me thinking Darby Allin was going to win this match. And you know what happened 30 seconds into this match? This crazy fucker hit a suicide dive. He tried to hit a suicide dive. MJF moved out of the way. His heels clipped the top rope, and he nearly killed himself. Darby Allin nearly killed himself on a suicide dive. I'm like, oh my gosh. 30 seconds into the match, the guy is trying to kill himself already. So MJF, it is just all MJF. Darby tries to hit a coffin drop. MJF moved. Darby hit the hardest part of the ring. The story of this match was Darby's body was catching up to him. All the title defenses, putting his body through hell for 6 weeks. It caught up to Darby Allin tonight. Pile driver onto steel steps. Then Darby hit one lucky headlock takeover, and MJF kicked out. Scorpion death drop by Darby, but he's so tired he can't cover. It was a really good main event. Really good main event. And the story was MJF was doing whatever it took to not get his head shaved. And literally Darby's body fucking gave out on him. That's the story they got. And they do a spot where MJF's on the outside. Darby's going for another suicide dive. MJF pulls in the camera guy. And Darby hits a suicide dive onto the camera guy. And they're on the stage. There's a table there because of the razor. And Darby is punching away at MJF. And there's scaffolding on top of the stage. Darby climbs the stage. He's on top of the stage in the Louis Armstrong Stadium. 20 feet in the air. This guy hits a coffin drop. Only Darby Allin would do something insane like that. Then they're back in the ring. Darby hits he's got a scorpion death drop. He's got the sharpshooter, scorpion lock, whatever you want to call it, in for a very long time. And again, he just collapsed. His body gave out on him. Darby just collapsed to the floor. And MJF pulled out his secret weapon. And his secret weapon was the tombstone off the top rope to the inside of the ring. Headlock takeover. A headlock takeover. Because he's a dick. And MJF is a 3-time AEW World Champion. They got me. I really thought Darby Allin was going to be shaving this man's head. But I will tell you what. At some point in his career, MJF will be getting his head shaved. It's too good of a moment to pass up on. Not right now. Obviously, not right now. He's the world champion again. But at some point in his career, he will be getting head shapes. And I remember, okay, excuse me, I will admit when I'm wrong on things. And I sat here on April 15th when Darby Allin won the AEW World Championship. And I shit all over it. I didn't like anything about it. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like the way they did the match. I didn't like the way they did the story of Darby Allin in one night. I didn't like anything about it. And I was completely wrong. And this man went on to have a generational 6-week run as AEW World Champion. And my love and respect grew more for Darby Allin during this reign. I did not like Darby Allin. I just didn't like the way they went about it. And I could sit here now reviewing Double or Nothing, and I can admit I was wrong. So thank you, Darby Allin, for proving me wrong. Thank you, Tony, for proving me wrong. This was a epic reign for Darby Allin as the AEW World Champion. But we're not done. Oh no, we're not done. This was a little strange. This was random. MJF, he's holding up the championship. Darby Allin is on a stretcher. And they are gurneying Darby Allin out. And Kevin Knight, he chases MJF out of the ring. Stands on the top rope. And here comes Darby on the gurney. And Kevin Knight hits a UFO splash and flips the gurney with Darby Allin on it. And it felt so fucking random. It felt really random. But Kevin Knight turned heel. Kevin Knight turns heel, which is something we did see coming. And is this next for Darby? I don't know. But I guess we'll have to wait and find out, man. But oh my goodness. What a night. It is nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. But I love this shit. I love AEW. I love professional wrestling. I cannot wait to be a sicko in Philly on Wednesday night. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this Double or Nothing review. Best pay-per-view of the year, man. Best pay-per-view of the year so far. So I'm going to get out of here for the night. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below your thoughts on tonight's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Live from Queens, New York. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Conlon_Joseph. And guys, oh my goodness, I will see you in a couple hours, in about 20-ish hours, for the Monday Night Raw review on the Big Fight Fuel channel. But, alright guys, as usual, stay classy and love wrestling. Peace.